Let's look at the issue of fire safety in buildings in Delhi. For that, we need to look at some of the peer-reviewed research work that is available in this area. First, let's look at what are the fire laws in the country, or for specifically in Delhi. Now, these are the fire laws in Delhi, which are available on the Department of Delhi Fire Services, which talk about the two important laws. One is the Delhi Fire Service Act. Now, Delhi Fire Service Act clearly is talking about certain types of buildings. It is valid for all buildings, but there is a requirement of a no objection certificate from the fire department for certain buildings. We can see that in the Delhi Fire Service rules. If this is the Delhi Fire Service rules, and here if we go down, we can look at a particular section here which deals about with the classes of occupancies likely to cause a risk of fire. Now here, prescriptively, it has been assumed that there are certain classes of occupancies for the purpose of subsection 1 of 25, which basically means that this is with respect to the act, which is right here. Section 25, preventive measures. Government, by notification in the official gazette, declare any class of occupancy and pandal which is in its opinion is likely to cause a risk of fire. Government may by notification in the official gazette require owners or occupiers or both of premises or buildings to take such action which are for fire prevention and fire safety. Now what has happened is government has under section 25 of the Delhi Fire Service Act 2007 notified certain class of occupancies of buildings and pandals, which in its opinion, which in the government's opinion, are likely to cause a risk of fire. Now, these are given in the rules, which is as per the section 25, which we have just read in the Delhi Fire Service Act. Now, here in Rule 27, it says that the following classes of occupancies shall be construed as likely to cause a fire, namely pandals, which are 50% or covered area more than 50 square meters, residential buildings having height more than 15 meters, or having G plus 4, including mezzanine, hotels having height more than 12 and having ground floor plus 3 upper stories, including mezzanine, then educational buildings 9 meters plus or G plus 2 plus mezzanine, then institutional buildings, which is height more than 9 meters or having G plus 2 plus mezzanine, all assembly buildings. Now, assembly buildings have been clearly defined in the Delhi building bylaws. There is a clear definition of assembly buildings. Most cinema halls, auditoriums are directly in the assembly buildings categories. Buildings, the actual definition is in the description below. You can have a look. The business buildings are having height more than 15 meter or having G plus 4 plus mezzanine. Mercantile buildings having height more than 9 meters or having G plus 2 plus mezzanine. Industrial buildings having covered area on all floors more than 250 square meters and storage buildings having covered area on all floors including more than 250 square meters and all hazardous buildings having covered area on all floors more than 100 square meters plus all underground structures. These are the buildings which are required to take a NOC, which are required to take an NOC. So all the other buildings which are not in this category do not require a NOC from the Delhi Fire Service. Now, what is important to note is that Delhi Fire Service is doing an extraordinarily good job as far as dealing with fires is concerned. They are very responsive. You put a call, they come, immediately fire tenders are sent, and when there is a fire, they deal with the fire very efficiently. As far as the prevention of fire is concerned, they are bound by the law. They are bound by the Delhi Fire Service Act and the rules which talk about the certain classes of buildings for which only NOC is required, where they see the plans and then they give, okay, you have to put sprinklers, okay, you have to put fire extinguishers, okay, you need to have this much evacuation space, all those things that are important as per the part 4, which you're going to talk about, that is checked by an agency, that is checked by the Delhi Fire Service, and then only those buildings can be built. But we have to look at the situation here. This is by a journalist, Himani Bhandari, in Hindustan Times, which talks about that 10 out of 16 major fires since 2015 were in residential buildings. Now, this was done after the Mundka case. In Mundka case, what happened is there was a so-called residential building where there was some kind of a commercial thing happening, where it was seen that when the fire happened, so many people were killed. So here are these details, which in this news report, they have shown that there are buildings for which NOC was not applicable or not required. And there you can see these were the residential category buildings where there were casualties. You see, look at Anaj Mandi 43, which is an illegal factory where, of course, NOC was required but not taken. But we have to look at all the blue dots here. The blue dots here is Sadnagar, Naveen Chadra, Dilshad Colony, Pitampura, Cable Park, Zakir Nagar, Shalimar Bagh, Dikha Singh Colony, Old Simapuri, and Gokalpuri, where NSC was either not applicable or not required, where there was a fire and where there were casualties. Now, this is important to understand from the larger perspective that when we have streets like this in Delhi, you can see here, this is a street in Delhi where there is all these lines going. You can see the width of the street. This is a typical scenario in a Lal Dora in Delhi. And there are places like Old Delhi, etc. Of course, you all are familiar. So what is the point here? The point here is that this particular news report has been used and this was relied upon. And we saw that NBC at the National Building Code has section 4 or part 4, which deals with fire and life safety. NBC has a three-pronged classification for dealing with fire, that is fire prevention, fire protection, and life safety. Repeat: fire prevention, fire protection, and life safety. Fire prevention is different from fire protection. And of course, life safety deals with evacuation. Life safety is also valid in earthquakes and other scenarios where people need to run out. What is important is that code itself uh, is important, but the code's compliance happens when there is something like an NOC, which the fire department people check. These are specialized engineers who look into whether this particular building will be suitable in case of fire or not. So these are in the section 27, which we have just seen. Now, the problem is that there are multiple mixed use scenarios. There are basements where people are working. There are other scenarios which are in typical residential buildings only, huh? But de facto they are legally or whichever way or mixed use. There are offices and godowns and other things happening. A lot of this is happening in the Lal Dora area of Delhi, which are the urban villages. And these are being given the residential status. But what is we are seeing is a lot of mixed uses happening in these. So when there is a fire in these situations, we see that even because they are below 15 meters in height, they are not under the NOC requirement. You see, when we talk to the fire department, when you look at the fire department, they say that because its NOC is not required, this is not directly under the categorization. But it is important to note that it is in the bylaws that still these buildings need to be having fire measures to be integrated. But because there is no compliance directly by the fire service, it's kind of difficult to have these buildings under enforcement. But let's look at what the fire services has said regarding educational buildings. Now, they are saying that for educational buildings above 9 meters, the minimum standards are required. But it is also saying, please be informed that education buildings not covered as above are also required to provide fire safe prevention and safety in accordance with NBC as directed by Honorable Supreme Court and as required by a circular issued by the Director of Education under provisions of Delhi School Education Act. Now, what is important is that this issue needs a new look. What is the new look we are suggesting? You see, in the game of compliance, the game of compliance can be replaced by the game of compassion. And how we can do that is by making fire safety a matter of show off, a matter of pride, a matter of a feature that building owners, tell the world ki we are so highly fire protected. What I am suggesting is that there can be something like a self-certification based public display compliance, which will be put in all buildings. So, for example, if you enter a cinema hall, it says this digital sound. It says we have the best technology with respect to digital sound. Now, that means that they are showing off their high quality acoustic systems. Same way, if there is some kind of a self certification based public display, as soon as you enter a building, you can see what are the standards of fire safety they have put inside. What is the level? What are the equipment they have put? What are the fire safety equipment that they have put? So it will create a social impact, and all people entering the buildings will be so much aware. The building owners will get incentivized by people looking at, oh, look at all the good fire safety features that the people have put. It will create a trust. For example, as soon as you enter a cinema hall, the first thing that you see is, oh, this has these many fire, what you call things. This is the boost, not only for compliance sake. Already there are building plans put up in cinema halls, but the cinema hall company should boast that we have the best state-in-the-art service. We have the best service to protect you against fire. We have this technology. We have these many fire extinguishers. Same way, smaller offices, when they are put under the social pressure, that as soon as you enter a small office, which is maybe in a residential area, which is maybe in a commercial building, which is not under the NOC requirement, as soon as you enter, outside it is written that we are having the state-of-the-art fire safety. It will create such an impetus that then people will start demanding as consumers. People will start looking at, oh, this building is safe, that building is not safe. Huh? This is an added point for this business or this commercial entity, that they are sitting in a building which is safe. So we need to create such kind of a self-certification based fire safety display culture, where fire safety is not a matter of mere compliance, but a matter of compassion, a matter of showing your features, a matter of show off. So this is a paper that can be referred. This paper has been peer reviewed and has 3.25 stars, and this is available in the description below. You and also the other orders of the course are available on the right side of this paper. So please do have a look, and let's make Delhi fire safe. Thank you very much.